It's a twofer at tight end in this video. Sam LaPorta and Michael Mayer go back-to-back, and LaPorta ahead of Mayer in the 2023 NFL Draft. Dave Richard, Heath Cummings from Fantasy Football Today on CBS Sports, joining you to talk about these players both from a redraft perspective and dynasty. Heath, let's start with the obvious question. Do either of these guys deserve to be drafted in redraft leagues in 2023? And if so, which one do you take first?
Yeah, I think it's possible that they do. I mean, when you get to the tight ends after tight end 12, tight end 13, they've all got that 8.4, and you're looking for guys with upside. And I could see either one of these guys having top 12 upside in the right situation. They both are talented as pass catchers. They both had things in college that kind of held back their overall production. They're not going to be picked in the first 12 rounds, and they may only be picked in leagues that reward tight end premium. But if I'm choosing between one of them and someone like a Gerald Everett in round 14, I'm taking the young guy.
Which young guy?
I think right now I would still stick with Michael Mayer. It was a real surprise that he was not the first tight end off the board. It was a bigger surprise, a much bigger surprise that he was not the second tight end off the board. I think most people for the last 2 years have thought he was the best tight end in this class. So I will stick with the pedigree of Mayer, considering that he landed in a spot where he should have a pretty good opportunity to be the number one tight end.
I agree. He should be the number one tight end in Las Vegas. Remember, Darren Waller traded away to the New York Giants. They have a huge opportunity for him there. He's a little bit of like half blocker, half pass catcher. And I think maybe the reason why he wasn't taken in round one was because he's just not that fast of a player. He's a big player. What I wrote about him was Paul Bunyan size with hands of gold, but he probably moves like Paul Bunyan. And that doesn't necessarily mean fast. Whereas LaPorta probably has more speed to him by comparison. I think the 40-yard dash time might bear that out. But he's kind of buried in Detroit because look at all the pass catchers. And they just took another one in round one in Jahmyr Gibbs. So I'm a little concerned about the targets for both of these tight ends. I feel like they're in that mix, Heath, of late round tight ends that you might take in redraft leagues if you like the matchup in week one. And I think I'm with you. I think I would give the edge to Mayer. I would guess that he probably gets, I don't know, half a target to a full target more per game than Sam LaPorta. But both of these guys look like touchdown or bust tight ends to me in redraft leagues. So let's move on to Dynasty, and let's talk about these guys long term. Do you still feel like Mayer is the one you want on your team long term?
I will definitely still lean Mayer over LaPorta long term. They will both rank in the teens at tight end. I came away with Dalton Kincaid at tight end 13 in Dynasty. I currently have Chigo Okonkwo at tight end 16 in Dynasty, and I would guess that I will end up with these two tight ends right in between those guys, somewhere in that 13 to 16 range.
That's interesting, and I think I'm with you on that. But I'll tell you what, man, like, Kincaid's okay, and I think long-term he probably has the highest ceiling of the three. I can't get behind LaPorta in Dynasty, and I really want to, but you just look at the young pass catchers that the Lions have, and it's kind of a bummer. Whereas Mayer, maybe he's got a path to being number 2 in targets for the Raiders because Davante Adams eventually steps away. Raiders will replace him at some point, and maybe he'll end up being just not bad for Dynasty. So Kincaid, Mayer, LaPorta, I think we've got consensus there in Dynasty.
Yep. And
I think that's the order that we'll have them in redraft. I don't think LaPorta takes anything away from St. Brown, Gibbs, Jameson Williams when he comes back. Right? I don't think that this is something that's going to really impact
I think Jameson Williams is the wild card in this whole thing because I think Jameson Williams, when he comes back, we're going to be a year and a half into his NFL career, and I've seen him caught like 2 passes. So
right.
I'm going to really hold off on the Jameson Williams expectations. I do think he could impact the running back targets if he earns that T.J. Hawkinson role in the offense.
Okay, whereas Michael Mayer, I don't see him taking anything away from Davante Adams. I'm a little worried about him maybe taking a few targets away over the balance of the season from Jacoby Myers.
For sure.
Since those guys work in that similar type of role. But is there anybody else in Las Vegas that we should be worried about now that Mayer's there?
No, I think it's interesting because they had both Jacoby Myers and Hunter Renfrow, and that might work if you're not going to use your tight end very much in the passing game. But early round 2 for Michael Mayer tells me they're going to use their tight end in the passing game. And you wonder with all these weapons they've added if maybe it means Josh Jacobs' passing game takes just a little bit of a hit.
And we do know about Jimmy Garoppolo, at least from his time in San Francisco. He is shy about throwing deep. If that's the case in Las Vegas, that's something that could help Michael Mayer as well. Okay, so 2 tight ends that maybe fantasy managers shouldn't be too excited about. We'll see if that ends up happening. Don't forget to like and subscribe our videos right here on YouTube. It's CBS Sports Fantasy Football Today.